Hello and welcome back to Hot Take here on No Bullshit, where we review the latest movies and give you our hot take on them. Today's topic is Sicario 2, Day of Soldado, starring Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin. This sequel comes after the highly acclaimed Sicario, the original from 2015. But did this new and improved version stand up to the original? We're going to talk about that today on Hot Take. In short, I have to say yes, Sicario 2 is certainly a worthy addition to the franchise, to the new franchise. It's a lot different than the original, it does a lot of different things and raises the stakes in fact and goes even bigger, which is nice plus. It's a nice welcome difference from the original, which I think was kind of more of a film, more of a serious film, much slower paced, whereas Sicario 2 really amps things up a little bit. Sicario 2 is more of an action-packed movie. It does still have some of the slow, drawn-out parts, some of the intense scenes in there too, and it really reflects well on the first one, but things get insane in this movie. Like I said, they do raise the stakes really well with the sequel. There's more action, more fighting, more crime, and even a whole-out war that virtually breaks out. But the real stars of this show are Josh Brolin and Benicio del Toro. These two actors really stand out, and the rest of the cast supports them as well. The story summary for Sicario 2 basically has us reconnect with Josh Brolin's character. He's a CIA secret agent kind of guy working at the southern border of America, and the government officials eventually call him in. At the beginning of the movie, there's a couple of explosions, a couple of attacks, and this prompts the government to go after the drugs and the cartels even harder than they were before. And this is where they spark the war, and this is where they raise the stakes in the story. The original movie focuses on a lot of small situations. They're merely just cracking the surface of the drug problem at the border, but this movie takes it up to the next level. We get to see lots of cool stuff at the border. There's immigration issues here. There's crossing the border, sneaking across the border. There's crimes, people smuggling stuff. There's kids. There's a kid who becomes a coyote. All kinds of crazy real life stuff. It's still very realistic and a lot of fun, interesting storylines in there. There's some new kids that they bring up that are really good, and it shows us the new side of the story. Formerly, in the first movie, we're just dealing with the agents mostly and a couple of other gangster types, but this movie kind of brings up the kids. There's a lot of kids that get brought into this border scam and into these drug cartels really early on. Like they drag out like teenagers, like 12 and 13-year-olds that start becoming drug runners and coyotes, and they drive cars for them, all kinds of crazy stuff. All in all, Sicario 2 is a great, interesting escalation from the first movie. Wasn't expecting a sequel. Didn't know how it would be without Emily Blunt, who was kind of the star of the first one, but Benicio del Toro and Josh Brolin, needless to say, obviously, these guys can handle it. These guys get more screen time, and even by the end, they actually go after each other. If you've seen the trailer, Brolin versus del Toro happens, and it's pretty fun to watch. Speaking of the kids that they bring into the movie, there's some younger people that get involved, and basically, throughout, you sort of see this new generation, and there's even like a new Sicario that gets introduced. I don't know if they're going to do a third movie. I don't know if they should do a third movie, but it certainly seemed like they could have set up for one. With all that said, the movie does feel a bit long. It stretches out a little bit in there. It's a full 2 hours, and it kind of feels it towards the end. And I will say maybe possibly the climax is a little anticlimactic. There isn't a big showdown or a big crazy ending, but it's kind of subtle and serious and cool too. I think it's just a certain kind of movie. I wouldn't go in expecting a big action adventure full-on romp. Like this isn't a Mark Wahlberg movie. This isn't a Fast and the Furious movie. This is still a serious, topical CIA crime thriller type movie, and it has an ending that fits that well. The movie still pulls it off. Despite a few flaws, the movie pulls it off. It's good, well done, good acting, a good story, cool action parts. There's some very realistic things done in there. The action and the explosions and the killings, they all look very realistic and well done in this situation. And that's not even getting to the part about how this movie is so relevant and topical right now. We've covered a lot of immigration stories here in the past week on our other videos. We've talked about there's been a lot of news reports at the border, people talking about immigration plans. Should we let more people in? Should we not? And this movie deals with a lot of that. It has people at the border. Like I said before, there's people sneaking across the border. There's the cops. There's the federal cops. There's the CIA agent Josh Brolin kind of mixing things up, trying to save some people if he can. At the the same time, you also see some dark side of the government, which is cool and interesting. And you never really know what side to root for. It's kind of mixed. It's like you see the CIA guys, you don't really root for the government fully, and you don't really think the Sicario or the cartel are all bad either. So it's got that interesting twist to it. With all that said, let's go ahead and bring out the hot take meter. I'll easily give Sicario 2 3.5 flames out of 5. Not quite a 4. Maybe if I like this genre more, I'd give it a 4 or maybe even a 5. If you like these kind of thrillers, these kind of slow, methodical, realistic movies, you're gonna love this one. But at the same time, I don't think it's for everyone. I think it's kind of a guy movie. It's action-packed, a lot of killing, a lot of violence. So if you're not into that, it's definitely not a family movie. But for the guys, for the dudes, for the old school ones like us who like some action and some good old crime capers, this movie's definitely for us. Thanks for tuning in to another Hot Take, guys. We'll be back next week talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp. See y'all next time.